Hey everybody, this is BrogiNaric, and I'm back again with another review. Today I'm going to be talking about the Netflix original series called Love, Death, and Robots. It dropped last Friday, and I had no idea that this thing was dropping. Co-worker at work told me about it. He was like, man, I think you'll be really into this. And I was like, I guess I'll check. He told me a little bit about it, and I was like, I guess I'll check it out. I watched it Sunday, and I just fell in love with this thing. If you haven't heard about it, Love, Death, and Robots is a new series on Netflix. This animated anthology series revolves around various stories, most of them focusing on sci-fi, some mysticism. It's a lot. It's in your face. It's a lot of it's adult oriented. So there's cursing, there's blood, there's intense scenes, there's nudity in some of these cartoons, and it's just balls to the wall, off the wall. It's insanity. It's really just great insanity, and I loved every minute of this 18-part series. This series was produced by director David Fincher, known for movies like Gone Girl and Zodiac, and also produced by animation director and movie director Tim Miller, mostly known for Deadpool. And this was his idea. Tim Miller, who is the head of animation studio Blur Studio. The first time I heard of Blur Studio was years ago. They were shipping a pilot for the comic book series called The Goon. They did an animated version, and they're basically, imagine Pixar, but more adult oriented. And that's the type of stuff they work on, or they would like to work on more. I'm pretty sure they do a lot on video games too. So the Love, Death, and Robots series actually had been in production, well, it got greenlit after the success of Deadpool, which was back in 2016. So they spent about 3 years getting this together, and I don't know how long it's going to take them if they do get a season 2, which I'm fairly certain they're going to get a season 2, but it's going to take them a while. The different stories that the episodes are based on various short stories written by different writers and other people who I guess Tim Miller found or was brought to him, and then he chose which studios they felt would be great to service telling these stories. So that's, you know, where most of these ideas came from. Some of the episodes in this series do look like video game cutscenes, which is pretty cool, like those like high def video game cutscenes like you see in the Rocksteady games, or even in the Mass Effect type games. It's like those type of cutscenes, but it's this whole, you know, 17 minute animation, and it's really cool. So each of the episodes are worked on by different animation studios. They're not all done by Blur Studios. I think most of them are, but there are other different studios who bring different styles of animations and different types of animation to the series. There's mostly 3D and 2D type animation. There's no what is it, stop motion. I don't know if they know any studios they want to work with that, but that would be cool maybe for next season if they could probably bring in some stop motion or something sort of like what they used to do with South Park with the paper cutouts. But mostly it's all CGI or like hand drawn, like, you know, the 2D on the computer type of animation. It's very creative, very imaginative. Like I said, this is not for kids. I wouldn't suggest you letting your 5-year-old watch this or anything like that, because they're going to see some things that you probably don't want them to see. From the first episode, it kind of sets the tone. It's gritty, it's, you know, sci-fi, but it's violent, and there is some, you know, some nudity in it, but it, you know, it is what it is. Some of them are really funny too, and some of them are a little scary, and some of them, you know, satirical in their ways, but it's a great time. It's an easy watch. It sounds like a lot, but some of them are in the range from 17 to like 5-minute or 6-minute little clips. It's worth your time watching. You can get this done in a day. I watched this in a day, then I rewatched it because I enjoyed it so much, which I thought was very cool. Some of these episodes, I feel like, especially like some of my favorites, could be their own series, like their own little Netflix series outside of this. And maybe in the next season, they will plan on probably getting a couple sequels or next episodes to the episodes they had this season, which would be cool in its own right. Those are my main quick thoughts about this series. I'm just going to try to keep it spoiler free for this first part of the review. But if I had to grade it, I would definitely give this an A. A 10 out of 10 is worth your time. If you're a fan of animation, fan of sci-fi, horror, or something just inventive, go watch this. It's like Netflix has been killing it. They had the Bandersnatch video movie earlier. Umbrella Academy has been killing it. And this is another one that's doing great. Netflix is dropping some really good stuff. They're trying to basically they're trying to show Disney, we don't really need your Netflix Marvel shows. We got our own stuff over here, and I'm glad that they can do that, and they're allowing people to let their freak flags fly high. But those are the main things I have to say in terms of non-spoilers. In my spoiler section, I'm going to talk about my least favorite and my top 10 favorite episodes, and just give a little thoughts on those. So thanks for watching, and stick around for the spoilers. All right, spoilers. So before I talk about my 10 favorite, I'm going to talk about some of my least favorite and some of the other episodes that dropped. One of the ones I want to talk about is Ice Age. It's one of the unique ones because it has live action in it, and you have Topher Grace and Mary Elizabeth Winstead in it. That's a really good one, although it's not on my favorites list. I didn't hate it. That's the other thing. There's no episode in this that I hated. It's just ones I like more than the other. And this one was creative, and I liked the story that it told, but it wasn't enough animation in it for me to really pay that high on the list. But it was a really good one. And another one is Helping Hand. That's probably one of the more horrifying ones, because there's two in here that are pretty horrifying, or that really bothered me. It was this one and then another one, and just the whole thing with her, going to the extreme to break her arm off to try to save her life was insane and done very well. So some of my least favorites, for a while it was going to be The Witness, but then I thought about it, and my least favorite is The Dump, mainly because it's a sort of a basic story as compared to the others. It's not that crazy or necessarily unique. The animation is cool, but the story is okay. And also, I didn't like Naked Old Man throughout most of it, so maybe not most of it, but I was just like, it was all right, but not bad. It just wasn't as great as the others. The Witness, I rewatched it. I don't hate The Witness. It's just some of the gratuitous nudity, and it didn't really do it for me. But the story was cool with the whole, her seeing the guy kill the girl, and then there's a loop, and then now it's her killing the guy, and then him seeing her. It was weird, but I liked it. That's sort of a little Twilight Zone-y, Outer Limits-y thing going on there. And the animation was very well, especially the animation on her kimono, the way it was moving. It seemed very lifelike. And now to get into my top 10, I'm not going to go into great detail till I get to like 5 to 1. At number 10, I have When the Yogurt Took Over, which is about, it was narrated by Maurice LaMarche, who is the voice actor for the Brain from Pinky and the Brain. And it's about this, it basically became yogurt, but like the fungus that they used to make yogurt, the American government made some, and it was like super intelligent. It got added to some yogurt, to homemade yogurt, and then it became like this super smart being, and eventually it took over the planet. Not in an evil way. It used this intelligence to help Earth, and then over time they kind of like leave Earth alone because they realize humanity is a bunch of annoying assholes. And that was a very funny episode. At number 9, I have Blind Spot, which is the episode that focuses on a gang of cyborgs who are trying to rob this train. It's kind of got this old West sci-fi vibe to it. That's one that I think would be a pretty fun mini-series that they can potentially make on their own, or even a video game. That was a really action-packed episode. Number 8, I have Alternate Histories, which in this episode focused on the 6 alternate ways of how Hitler could have died. And it's just like, it's all like when he was younger. It's like before he became Hitler, and there's all these different ways he could have died. That one was really funny. Number 7, I have Sucker of Souls. And this one was about a group of, it's a scientist and a group of mercenaries having to fight vampires. This one was also kind of like a dark, rock and roll sort of Johnny Quest type vibe to it, but a little bit of Hellboy in there. It was really cool. And it was funny too. It was very humorous. And also like the design for Dracula and the vampires, where they look more like these big, almost lizard-like monsters as opposed to traditional vampires. I thought that was very creative. Number 6, I have The Secret War, which focuses on these soldiers during World War II, these Russian soldiers during World War II, and they have to fight a horde of demons. That one was one where I was like, this could totally be a video game, and it looked like a video game cutscene, and it was really awesome. Now, top 5. Number 5, I have Beyond the Aquila Rift, which was directed by, well, it has 4 directors, and it was done by Unit Image Studios. That was the animation studio, Unit Image. This episode is one of the crazier ones. And this might be a lot of people's number 1 because it definitely stands out. It's one of the more darker episodes they had in this. And it's kind of like, imagine the truckers from Alien, and they're in space. It's like in the future, they're out in like light years away from Earth, and they're about to shoot back to Earth, and they get into the little time pods to travel through the portal to go back to Earth. But there's a malfunction. The main guy, the Captain Tom, wakes up, and he finds out that something has happened, and they're being towed into the station. And the people at the station contact him, and one of the women there is his ex-girlfriend Greta, and he's like, "What's going on?" She's like, "Look, there was a malfunction. You guys got thrown off course. You're still a few light years off course, but things are gonna be fine. We're gonna fix this." And one of the teammates, Sophia, she's freaking out. She's like, "What's going on?" They calm her down because she's kind of sick. And basically, Tom is trying to deal with the fact that he's off course, and it's going to be a while before he gets back to Earth. And he's getting friendlier with his ex. There's this gratuitous sex scene. Not bad, but it's a sex scene. And that was the point when I knew something was up. Because I'm like, this doesn't seem right. Like, she's wearing this dress, and this sex scene was like some crazy, like, bro fantasy. I'm like, I don't buy this one bit. After that, they're trying to get it together, and basically he starts to realize things aren't what it seems. Greta tells him, "Okay, you guys are off course, but you're even farther off course than I originally told you, and hundreds of years have already passed on Earth, so even if you do get back to Earth, it's not going to be the same plan that you remembered." And he's freaking out. He's like, "What's going on?" They try to activate his crew member again, and she's freaking out because she's like, "This is not what it is. Like, look at her. Things are not what it seems." And eventually Tom realizes, okay, I think I'm in some sort of a simulation. Something's not right. And she basically tells him, Greta tells him, "Yes, it's a simulation. You guys are farther than you look like. Nothing you see is what it seems. And I'm doing this for a reason. I'm trying to help you." And Tom is like, "I want to know what's going on. Show me what's going on." She's like, "Look, I've done this before. The reason what happened is there's a glitch in the time portal. It wasn't malicious or anything. It's just whenever people, I guess, go from that distance, they just get off course and they'll always end up at this place." And she's done this a bunch of times, and she's like, "Look, I'm trying to help you," but Tom's like, "I want to see what it is." So she lets him see it. So she tells him, "I don't look anything like Greta. You don't want to see what I look like. It's going to be something you can't deal with." And as soon as she said that, I knew, deep down, I knew she's going to look like a fucking spider. I just know it because I hate spiders. And whenever there's something you don't want to see, it's always like, damn spider. So she shows him, it's this weird sort of like, what's the guy? The Geiger guy that did Aliens. It's this weird looking thing. And he's looking around, and then you see the actual her. And I was going to put an image of it in the video, but I'm not, because it is weird. Just go watch it. Beyond the Aquila Rift. It'll mess with you. It's horrifying. But when you see what she looks like, he freaks out, and then he snaps back into the simulation, and it repeats all over again. It's very like Twilight Zone, Outer Limits type episode. It's really good, and it'll mess with you, but check it out. At number 4, I have Shapeshifters, directed by Gabriel Pinnacoli, and it was made by Blur Studios. Shapeshifters was cool. It's about these 2 soldiers in Afghanistan, and basically you find out they're like super soldiers, and basically you find out that they're werewolves who work in the military fighting against the Taliban. And one of the guys, they get separated because one sent to another base. The base gets attacked. So the main guy left, Decker, tries to figure out what happened, and he knows something. It was another werewolf that attacked him, which is odd because only, I guess, the American military is supposed to have werewolves. So they're like, why? We didn't know that there were other werewolves, apparently. So Decker tracks down the guy, and it was this old dude in the local village, and then they have like their own little secret fight, but like it's him and his son. So it's Decker versus 2 other werewolves, and they get into this gruesome fight. and Decker, avenged his friends, and it's just like he's done with the military because he has to deal with this disrespect and sort of racist stuff against them because he is different. So that was a really good one. I like the animation on that one. For number 3, I have Zima Blue, directed by Robert Valley and made by Passion Animation Studios. This is one of the ones that was very 2D, and I like the story. It's a little more, it's not a very action-packed story. It's about this reporter who's going to see this famous and reclusive artist named Zima, who's been around for about 100 or so years, and he started out at portraits, but then he started doing these murals, and then he started doing these big murals, and in each mural he would have like a blue square, and over time the squares got bigger, then he was just doing big squares of blue. And so she meets him, and she's surprised because he's a robot, and because he's been around for so long, and so she's like, oh, he's this thing about he was a guy who over some time went to another planet, and he got these cybernetic enhancements so he could go to different harsh conditions and survive. He doesn't need to breathe oxygen, and he, paints unique things. He's like, I'm going to do my last masterpiece, and then I'm just going to, disappear after that. And she's like, he shows her this pool, and she's like, what's up with the pool? And he explains there was a scientist back years ago who created, she made robots, and she made this one robot that she used to clean her pool, and it would just swim around washing the tiles. And over time, she got obsessed with the robot. She would add more things to it, gave it its own mind, gave it new ability, new technological advancements, and essentially created AI. And then when she died, other people kept adding to the robot, and it got smarter and smarter, until eventually it turned out to be Zima. And the artist is actually a robot that over time got more advanced, and now he wanted to revert back to his more original design, where he was cleaning the pool, because there's like the tiles around the pool that were blue, and that was the blue that he put in his pictures. It was a cool nice little story. I really enjoyed it. Number 2, I have Suits, directed by Frank Balson and made by Blur Studio. Suits was for a while my number 1. Suits is awesome. This is another one where I was like, this could be its own Netflix series. It's about this community of farmers who have to protect their community and their families from this alien invasion, and they use these special mech suits to do it, because there's they're talking about we got like a fence, but it's actually it's like a force field, and these aliens are breaching it, and it's sort of like if you've seen Infinity War, it's like the aliens breaking into Wakanda. It's like that, and like everyone's got a Hulkbuster to fight the aliens. It's really cool. It focuses on the main character Hank, and he's got the other farmers there to help him, and it's really sweet. The animation is cool. It's kind of got that what is it? The Peanuts movie, where it's like 2D, but it's on the computer, but it kind of looks like a watercolor painting moving. It's really cool, and the action in it is awesome. The voice actors are cool. Like I said, if this was a series, I'd be watching it. I probably would have binged the first season already. It's really cool. Check this one out. Definitely one to see. And my number 1 favorite episode from season 1 is Good Hunting, directed by Oliver Thomas and made by Red Dog Culture House Animation Studio. The animation style is sort of like if you took Avatar: The Last Airbender and fused it with Disney's Treasure Planet. It's kind of got that feel to it. It's about this Chinese kid who works with his dad. They're spirit hunters. Basically, they fight magical demons or whatever. And they're tasked with fighting this a Weijin, who is like this shape-shifting sort of fox, sort of succubus type thing. Like, she's like entranced this guy, and they have to kill her because she's doing something to him. So they track her down, and they're about to kill her, but they see the son sees she has a daughter, and they're like having a little argument because the son thinks that the mom is evil, but the mom is like, no, but the daughter's like, no, my mom's not evil. It's just this thing that happens when men get entranced by her. It's not something she does on purpose, and she's not harming him, but it's a misunderstanding. But anyway, the kid, Leanne, his dad kills her mom, and they collect their bounty. And then over time, China changes. You have the British come in, and they start to industrial revolutionized the country. So Leanne's dad had died, her mom is dead, but they stayed friends. But over time, with more industrialization, the less magic is in the region, so her shape-shifting powers don't work, and she's becoming more human. And more time passes. He's in Beijing. He's working at the train. He's doing engineering, and in that time, she's gotten weaker, and she's like become a prostitute, and for the the colonizers. So he gets better with technology, and she starts to regress more. And he becomes an engineer on his own, and he even makes his own like robot rabbit, and it's basically got this steampunk futuristic vibe to it, even though it's sort of like in the early late early 1900s, but it's this weird technological steampunk place. And eventually the girl Yan runs back into him. It's been another like 5 years since the last time they saw each other, and she now has this cyborg body. She was basically a client to the governor, and he drugged her and forced an operation on her where they like dissect her and basically gave her a cyborg body because he wanted her to be like a cyborg sex slave, basically. And there's a moment where she's just like, I'm tired of this shit, and she like ends up killing him. She like breaks his jaw and she runs away, and she goes to Leanne and is like, can you help me with your technology, because I want to get revenge on the people who have not only on the people who've harmed me, but the people who are harming others, who have come in and it's like destroying the place I grew up in. And so he uses his skills to give her a new silver robot body that allows her to transform into her fox mode. And by the end of it, she's like this vigilante fighting against corruption and injustice and out for revenge. And that was like, it was fucking sweet. And I was like, man, I wish there was a season after this that I could watch, because it was cool. I wanted to see more of this world. I wanted to see if there were other mystical creatures out there and how they're adapting. It seemed really sweet. The animation was cool. The voice acting was good. The story was really good. And that's why it was my favorite. It's kind of a distillation of the entire series. It's got your sci-fi, it's got magic, it's got a little bit of violence, it's a little kink to it, but it's cool. I liked it a lot. So those were my top 10 favorite episodes of the 18 from season 1. Let me know what were your favorite or least favorite episodes in the comments. Let me know if you liked it. Thanks for watching. Check out the channel for more videos. Should be in one of these annotations. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more videos. Peace.
Finish this thought. I am a slave to
the booty.